In this video, I'm going to be going over star constellations a bit more. I'm going to be going over pylons and how the glory of God is declared in the stars. Okay, if you have the Holy Spirit, I believe you're allowed to study the stars to glorify Jesus. All right. So I'm going to be going over star constellations and pylons and the pyramids. And I'm going to be going over some other stuff like that. Okay, so first off, pylons are when pathways lead up to the temple, or they lead up to the rising sun, or they lead up to the god. Okay, a very good example of a pylon, okay, in movie terms, of, you know, Dorothy, how she follows the yellow brick road to the Wizard of Oz. Okay, that yellow brick road can technically be called a pylon because it's a pathway that led her to the end. Okay, it led her to the god, which in that case is the wizard, or to the kingdom, which is, you know, the kingdom. Okay. And pylons in every direction is axis mundi. Okay, axis mundi is when pathways lead all over the earth and they lead up to the middle of the earth. Okay, so axis mundi is pylons in every direction. They're pathways that lead in every direction. Okay, to and from. Okay. But a pylon is you're supposed to follow those paths to the king. This was a huge concept in the ancient world and in the Bible. Okay, I will show you some more pictures of ancient pylons. Okay, so and this I already talked about this in some of my older videos, but when trees line up in a row, or when or cherubs lined up in a row, or pillars lined up in a row, okay, that is a pylon. All right. And also it is stairs leading up to the king. Okay, this is a Mayan temple. There's stairs leading up to the top. Okay, and what about a row of pillars with the row of arches? Yes, this is a pylon. Okay, what about rows of lights? Yes, okay, these are all pylons. These are different kinds of pylons with lights, with trees, with cherubs, and even rows of mountains are pylons. Okay. And obviously, you can have combinations of them. You can do the row of cherubs and the row of pillars and the brick highway, okay? But listen to me very closely. God does the same thing in King Solomon's temple. But do you know what? The difference is God does all of them. These other temples, they will do one or two or three. God does all of them. Okay, just like in this picture of the Egyptian pylons. Okay, it does the row of cherubs, it does the yellow brick road one, and it does the two pillars, and it does the archways in the back probably. Okay, but it's missing the lights, right? I'm just giving you one example. The Mayan temple, it does the stairs, but it's missing all the other ones. Okay, so God does all of them in his temple. It does the row of lights, it does the row of cherubs, it does the every single version of the highway, because God's kingdom is whole. It's not missing any of the pylons. Satan is always lacking. His kingdoms are always missing one, okay, or two or three. It does one or two or three, but it never does all of them. God does all of the versions of the pylon, okay, because his kingdom is complete. All of this God does all of it. He does the stairs leading up to the king. He does the row of cherubs lining up to the king. And he does the row of trees, okay? He does all the same thing, okay? Because Satan has his version and God has his version. They are mirror images of each other almost, okay? Because Satan just copies God, okay? That's why you're going to see both in the Bible and everywhere else. The pyramids, I'm going to bring up the pyramids. The pyramids, all these temples are pylons, okay? The pyramids line up to the rising sun, okay, because the pyramids were made for multiple star constellations. Okay, they weren't just made for one star constellation. I think most people just say it's for Orion's belt. It is way more involved than that. Okay, the pyramids were designed for multiple star constellations. They line up to the serpent's tail. I already talked about that in previous video. They line up to Orion's belt now. Okay, they line up to these three star constellations. Okay, these three crosses. Okay, that's what the pyramids are. They're crosses from above. If you look at them, they're just crosses. They're three crosses. and people argue about which constellation the pyramids are lining up against, it's because it's multiple star constellations. Even the miniature pathways on the sides of the pyramids line up to star constellations. The crazy thing is, Jerusalem is built the exact same way, okay? But you have to really study Jerusalem, and you have to study the topography of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is literally laid out in the same kind of philosophy, okay? But you have to really study it, okay? God does the exact same thing, okay? It's a mirror image of the pyramids almost. I'm not kidding. I will try to show that to you now. So you have to keep in mind that a long time ago, Jerusalem was basically one big rock, okay? It was all the same mountain range. And please notice that it's more like a plateau. It's flat on top. It's a mountain range, but they're flat on top. And the pyramids are actually flat on top as well, okay? They're flat on top because of multiple reasons. One of the reasons that they're flat on top is because the sun is supposed to sit on top of it, okay? It's supposed to look like the sun is resting on top of it, and there's other reasons why they're flat on top. But this is I'm doing this version for now. Okay. Same thing with the Mayan temples. It's flat on top because sometimes it's supposed to look like the sun is resting on top of it. It's a resting place for the sun. The sun is supposed to be nestled nice and neat in there. Same thing with this. See, there's a dip in the top of this wall because it's supposed to look the sun is sitting on it. It's a throne for the sun. Okay, the sun is supposed to be sitting on top of it. That's why it's flat on top, or that's why it's concaved a little bit. Okay, God does the same thing, and I will show it to you in just... Alright, so that's why the temples have to be flat. Okay, I'm talking about the big rock in the front. I'm not talking about David's city right now. Okay, so that big rock in the front was all one mountain, and it was forged into three mountains, just like the pyramids. Over time, it got split up. Okay, it's Mount Zion, Mount Calvary, and then it's going to be the Garden Tomb, okay, which is going to be a concaved place for the rising sun. Okay, so over time, this one big rock got forged into forged into three rocks. Just in a minute. But you have to think multidimensionally. Okay, you gotta separate the three rocks, and you gotta put them back together and pull them up. You're gonna get the pyramids, and you're gonna get this Mayan stuff. Okay, if you were to put these mountains back together and pull them up, you would get this imagery right here to three mountains, just like the pyramids. But it happened over time naturally, and people started building roads and stuff. Okay, so the one at the bottom, just like the pyramids, it's Mount Zion, it's Mount Calvary, and over time, Mount Calvary split, and the Garden Tomb became separate from it, okay? And the Garden Tomb is a concaved rock, just like the top of the pyramids, just like the top of the Mayan Temple. It's actually dug into the earth, not up, okay? It is a place for the rising sun, and that is literally where the sun rose. As in S-O-N, son Jesus rose from the dead. Okay? God literally uses every single concept to try to save you. He's using all these concepts. Okay? The Garden Tomb not only is a concaved, like a dip. Okay? And what did we learn about concaved star constellations? In this Native American video, I did star constellations, okay? What did we learn from that video? Concave star constellations are a reference to the underworld, and that's where Jesus rose from. He rose from the underworld. And you have to keep in mind that back then, people thought the literal sun rose from the underworld in the morning, okay? It rose, and then that's what Jesus literally did. He rose from the underworld. That is the main theory, that he went into hell, okay, and then he rose from the grave. Literally from hell, though. So, and back, God uses all of that. That's why it's a concave, inverted, flipped over star constellation, because it's a reference to the underworld, just like we learned in the Native American video. Because the sun is supposed to, I'm going to repeat myself, the sun is supposed to, that's his throne, it's always a dip or leveled. Okay, not only is this, the garden tomb, a place of the rising sun, geographically, okay, he literally rose from the dead there, but it's also the star constellation Polaris, okay, which is the North Pole star. So not only did God do that, he also tried to show you that the North Pole star constellation is the exact same thing as the garden tomb on Earth, okay? God did that on purpose, okay, because a long time ago, the North Pole star constellation used to be a dragon, which is obviously a reference to the devil. Okay, but he got kicked off, and if you study astronomy, it became this star constellation. And this is the exact same thing as a garden tomb. Of course, that's not a coincidence. God did that all on purpose to try to save you. Okay? All of these kingdoms look like star constellations. And the one part of the world that looks like this star constellation just so happens to be the garden tomb. Of course, that's not a coincidence. And if that's not crazy enough, Ursa Minor, it's the Little Dipper, okay? The Little Dipper is a North Pole star constellation, but it moves across the stars over time. And the garden tomb, the actual door opening to the tomb, it was the exact pole star at that time, which was this one. It was Kokum. So when the tomb door opened, that just happened to be the exact same star, North Pole star, as the tomb door opening. Of course, that's not a coincidence. And Kosab, in many languages, let's throw some etymology in there, it means to win or to win the prize. It means a prize. Okay, that's what Kosab means, and I don't think that's a coincidence either. Okay, and now I'm going to read a passage from the Bible. I have raised up one from the north, and he has come from the rising of the sun. Okay, so the sun rises from the north. Well, that's silly. The sun, I'm talking about the literal sun, doesn't rise from the north. It goes east to west. So why does it mean it's rising from the north? That is because the Temple Mount, the garden tomb, was where Jesus rose, and it's literally northward. The sun rose from the north. Son Jesus. Okay, so that was a prophecy. So the sun already rose from the north. So this is a pathway. It's a row of mountains or flat mountains that led you to Jesus. So that is a good pathway. And it's so crazy. And then this is a pylon. It's a pathway that led you to the king, correct? And it's so crazy because it actually does that in the other direction too. It does that in all the directions. You can literally do the same thing that I just did, okay? And using Mount of Olives and the now no Temple Mount, and you use the garden tomb again. It'll just do the same exact thing I just explained. It'll just do it from every direction. It's just doing it from a different direction, and that's Axis Mundi. It's pathways in every direction leading you to the same place. It leads to the garden tomb, and that was the temple of the rising sun. That's a temple of a rising sun. And another crazy thing, the Mount of Olives, and the Jerusalem Temple Mount, and then the garden tomb perfectly aligns with these three star constellations. Okay, the whole situation is lining up to multiple star constellations, just like the pyramids. Okay, except it's real and God did it. Okay. Now this is just a theory, and I can't prove that unless I were to literally go to Jerusalem and study the holes on the mountain. But this is a theory. But you know how I said that these holes on the pyramids line up to multiple star constellations. There are holes on Mount Calvary, many pinholes. Not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. There's dozens of pinholes. I just bet you, those lead to every single star constellation. Not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, but all of them. So which one's more involved? Is it Mount Zion or the pyramids? Which one's better? Okay, so I'm going to keep going with this whole pyramid mountain thing. God's got pyramids and Satan has pyramids, okay, mountains, okay? And they quite often mirror each other, okay? And God trains you to see the difference and to see what's going on. And when you read and study the Bible, and you need the Holy Spirit too, okay? So, I'm going back to the first Israelite temple when it was just the tents, okay? I already mentioned this before in the Axis Mundi video, but please, God uses play on images, okay? He uses play on images. Okay, and in that video, I already discussed that the old Israelite camp, if you were to look at it from above, you would get a cross and you would get a pyramid. If it depends on which descriptions you use. That's because you're supposed to use both of them. And you're supposed to use the descriptions of the Israelite temple as a mountain and as a cross. And that's all the cross is anyway, is a big mountain. Okay, the pyramids are just 3 crosses. Alright, so the old Israelite temple looks, if you look at it, you have to look at it multidimensionally, it makes a mountain, okay? The covering and all the linens, they make a pyramid, okay? And on top of that, it's the pyramid with the people. Okay, this is very important. Pylons are made out of stone, they're made out of trees, they're made out of, most importantly, they're made out of water, okay? You can have a water pathway, which is just a river, right? That's probably the one I missed. Okay, but the thing is, God calls you all of these things. He calls you living stones. He calls the people living waters. Okay, you are the temple. You are the pylons. The people are the pylons. Okay, the people are the rows of trees. They're the rows of cherubs. They're the yellow brick road. That's why it says you are living stones and you are living waters. And it literally says, be a pillar. God calls his followers all of these things in the Bible, including the cherubs. People bring people to God. And the sad thing is, it's the other way around. People bring people to Satan. They're the pylons. They're leading. They may not know that that's what they're doing, but that is what you are doing if you do not know Jesus. You are a pylon for the devil. And it's so funny when I say that, because in real life, you know how I just showed you the Israelite camp, the people make a pyramid. In real life, there are people's names written all over Egypt, all over the stones, like in real life. Because for a long time, they used to let tourists write your name on the bricks and climb all over the pyramids. That is very revelatory, okay? God uses all this stuff. Okay? Hint, hint, hint. People are the bricks. They're the temple. People are either a brick for Jesus or they are a brick for Satan. Okay? And even that's a story in the Bible. In the book of Revelation, God hands you a stone with your name on it. Where are you going to put your stone? Are you going to put it here? Or are you going to put it here? Okay, now I'm going to add in some current information. Okay, current information. Okay, God uses play on words, okay? Again, I'm going to bring up the water part of this, okay? So, I'm going to bring up electricity, currents, and frequency currents. In this video, I talked about frequency currents, okay? Okay, God has frequency currents, and the devil has frequency currents. That's why Leviathan swims in the currents of chaos. It's not just talking about literal water. It's talking about frequency currents. Okay. Now, if you type in pylon, you're going to get an old version and a new version. These electrical towers are pylons. They are a row of electricity that leads to the people, and it leads to no joke, it usually leads into the top of a mountain, just like back then. Okay? Now, and if you look at these these pylons multi-dimensionally, they literally make a pyramid or mountain from the top. Coincidence? Of course not. Including the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower looks just like this. It looks like a big pyramid from the top. This is why God tries to trains you to look at things multidimensionally and to think, okay, in every time frame. Okay, you have to overlay the stuff from the past with the stuff from the future, okay, and stuff from now for more revelation. The Bible never stops giving you understanding and revelation. All right, these electrical towers literally make a pyramid. Now, are these electrical towers, are they God's pyramid or are they Satan's pyramid? That's up to you. You have to use your free will, and it is your choice. Are you gonna use these electrical towers and these Wi-Fi towers? Are you gonna use them for God or are you gonna use them for Satan? Are you gonna be a pylon for God or are you gonna be a pylon for Satan? Are you gonna use the internet and electricity currents to guide people to heaven? Or are you gonna use these stuff to guide people to hell? Are you gonna make a YouTube video about how cool the Egyptians were and how stupid God is, or is it gonna be the other way around? Okay, it is up to you. Are you gonna be a pylon temple for God, or are you gonna be a pylon temple for Satan? I know I keep repeating myself, but I have to. And I'm gonna bring in one more thing, and I'm gonna end the video. Okay, God uses play on words. Okay, and back then the North Pole star, the image on top of this mountain was a snake on a pole, okay? Because the snake is supposed to look like it's wrapping around the meridian, okay? When it spins, the earth spins. That's why the snake wraps around the pole, okay? This is where the dollar sign comes from, okay? The dollar, is it a coincidence that the dollar sign looks like it is a snake wrapped around a pole? Of course it's not a coincidence, okay? Please don't say that it is. Did you ever notice that money is always associated with water terms? Okay, you put your money in a bank. If you want to go get a loan, you go to a loan shark. You have currency. Money is called currency. God did all that on purpose. Now it's the same thing with the pylons. Are you going to use your currency for God, or are you going to use your currency for Satan? Are you going to use your money? Of course you have to have money, okay? Is money cursed? You can watch a million YouTube videos on all the creepy stuff that's on your dollar bill, okay? The thing is, are you going to make it a curse, or are you going to make it a blessing? Are you going to use your currency to guide people to the snake on top of the mountain, or are you going to use your currency to guide people to Jesus on top of the mountain, okay? God, you see how God uses play on words? All right, I wanted to add that in there. And I'm going to add this last Bible passage. I'm going to bring up something else. I know Christians think they're not allowed to study astronomy. Okay, they are not allowed to study this pagan stuff. Most Christians won't even. A lot of them do. A lot of good Christians they study all this stuff because there is revelation in it. Okay, even back in the old, I'm talking about back in like 200 AD. Okay, Christians were encouraged to learn other people's cultures. Because how on earth are you going to save these people if you don't know anything about them? Okay? So you're allowed to study this stuff once you have the Holy Spirit, okay? Like in the Bible, I'm going to give you an example. In the Bible, it tells you not to observe the stars, not to stargaze. But also in the Bible, it literally tells you star constellations. Like over and over, it tells you, let the heavens declare the glory of God. Let the skies declare speech. Learn stuff from the skies. That is because the reason why this sounds like it's contradicting each other is because these messages are there's messages for saved people and messages for non-saved people. If you don't have the Holy Spirit, I wouldn't do anything until you do, okay? Because most of 99.9% of the time, people who study history and study, archaeology and study the stars, they use it to make horoscopes and stuff like that. They use it for the devil. Are you going to study the stars for the devil, or are you going to study the stars for Satan, okay, or for God? This is probably one of my favorite passages when it comes to cosmic geography and studying the stars. God tells you not only to study the stars, but you need to look at from up there. You need to study things how they look from above, okay? That's cosmic geography. Lift up your eyes to the heavens and the earth beneath. You're supposed to study the stars along with the shape of the earth below. Cosmic geography is in the Bible many times. And this one's really important. For the stars in the sky and their constellations no longer give their light. So this is talking about not just about the stars literally going out. This is talking about people not getting wisdom and understanding from the stars. Most people, 99.9% of the time, the people who study stars are not doing it with the Holy Spirit, and they're making horoscopes and making witchcraft out of it. Okay? Because Christians, first of all, like I just said, Christians think they're not allowed to study the stars when quite frankly you are supposed to. Once you have the Holy Spirit, you're supposed to see the gospel written in the stars, literally. The whole story of the Bible in the stars. You can really literally see it. Okay? And you're supposed to make these dirty paths straight. I'm going to end it with that. These crooked pathways, these crooked pylons, you're supposed to straighten them out. You're supposed to use this crooked understanding, people's crooked understanding of things, and straighten it out and to lead people to Christ. Okay, you're supposed to make these crooked pylons straight. Alright, so please think about what I'm saying, guys, and thank you.